year 2020, NESfriend covered 67 different games, including 4 on the Famicom and 158 total games over the 2 years the channel has existed. I want to first thank each and everyone who has subscribed here for watching, and those of you who take the time to comment. I read each and every one of them and try to reply to as many as I can. I want to remind everyone here that I'm not an expert of the NES. That should be apparent if you follow the channel. While I'm aware of the existence of all the games I've covered prior to reviewing them, I don't really know a ton about them until I play them and do a little research for the videos. That's to say, I get things wrong a lot or make mistakes, and this is a video to set the record straight by sharing a few of the comments that were most helpful. So, let's get started. In my Bubble Bobble video, I had trouble with the section of the game and even pointed out in the video that I thought it was a confusing part. Turns out, I just didn't try hard enough. My pal WhiteHat94 pointed out that I was supposed to collect water drops and flush them down to get those triangles. That never crossed my mind even once. Oops. Thanks for the heads up, Whitehat. I did a video on Commando back in the spring, and I typically like to tie sequels and stuff together, but in this case I didn't. I should have included Commando and Bionic Commando together, but since they're so different gameplay-wise, and the connection is loose at best, I chose to keep them separate. So this isn't a correction, again, but more of an explanation of my intentions. There are a few NES games that have a little tangential connection that I have to ponder over whether or not to lump together. I put the Disney Afternoon games all together across 2 videos, and honestly, that probably wasn't a great idea because those are big titles kinda buried in an old video when they would have done much better separated out. On my Rambo video, Raftronaut called me out for only using the stereo version of the soundtrack, and I do have a soundtrack source that I use for these videos, and they are all in stereo, so I apologize if you are like Raftronaut and love the sweet mono chiptuneness, and I'm just ruining things for you, but to Raftronaut's credit, he did open my eyes to this, and I appreciate that. So, not all of these will be corrections, of course. Some of them are just fun facts. So you might remember Homestar Runner and the character Strongbad from the early internet days. Good times were had by all. What a simpler time. Longtime viewer of the channel Neil Purcell pointed out something I didn't know. Strongbad is inspired by the character from Tag Team Wrestling that looks bafflingly similar. Good catch, Neil. And in the same wrestling games video, this person pointed out that the Muscle game was based on the cartoon, not the toys. The animated series is called Kinnikuman, I believe, and the toys were also based on that series. So all are related, but to be clear, the game is independent of the toys. This one is especially embarrassing. Of course I called the ZX Spectrum the ZX Spectrum because I was reading off a script and never thought about it twice until, who else, the Infinite Canadian called me out. I tried to get out of it by saying I was just a dumb American hick that didn't know any better, but he wasn't buying it. It is the ZX Spectrum, y'all. There were a series of comments hinting that maybe I was pronouncing Milan wrong, and maybe I am. How do you pronounce it? Milan, Secret Castle? Pam of Cannot Be Tamed thought it was Milton. Are you like Pam? Do you like Milton? I misspoke in Destiny of an Emperor and said a millennia instead of a millennium. This comment kindly pointed that out, and I couldn't help myself from returning the pedantic favor and correcting their spelling. Isn't YouTube fun? To be fair, this commenter is actually very helpful on many of my videos, so I say bring it on. I like to know when I goof it up. Scooter caught me scripting a goof in the Road Blasters video. The vehicles drop brown fuel spheres, and the ones that are just littered about the road are green. Not a huge deal, but gosh darn it, I do know the difference between brown and green, and I need you all to believe me. Well, it wouldn't be a correction video without some Will Mistretta knowledge bombs, so here's one. On my skateboarding video, Will points out what the Bs were for in 720. Evidently, they are a product of the arcade version that snuffed you out so you weren't hogging the machine. They never took it out of the NES port. Thanks, Will. In that same video, I made a reference that Rodney, the skate shop's clerk in the first game, looks like a trucker from 1994. I mean, that's probably not really accurate, I just thought it was funny, but Lawrence here thinking I'm saying the game came out in 1994. Come on, Larry, that was a joke! In my Dungeon Magic video, I complain a lot about how there's no good map in the game, and I stand by that. But what I failed to realize until after I made the video is that you can create a spell for an overworld map. While yes, that sucks that you have to jump through hoops like that, there is in fact a map in Dungeon Magic. Mel Granger thankfully points this out in this pinned comment. Thank you, Mel. In my balloon fight video, maybe the least complex game I have ever given attention to on this channel, I still made a mistake. I speculated that the number in the top right corner of the screen was the number of balloons left to collect. Evidently, I was wrong, according to SG, who says it's a ranking based on distance. Oh. Later, I did a video on bowling games on the NES, and instead of just doing a video on championship bowling, which I thought might be a little lame, I figured I would try to include the Famicom bowling games too. I guess my mistake was searching for the word bowling instead of just bowl in the Famicom library because I completely missed Dynamite Bowl. Abandon Witch Gaming set me straight. Thanks, Witch. Hope you're not still lonely. And abandoned. I did a Famicom game review of Doraemon, and I will be the first to admit I can barely pronounce a lot of English words, so unfamiliar Japanese ones are going to be trouble. Evidently, Todd didn't like my mispronunciation of Doraemon or Doraemon, and then he said I was putting in a lack of effort. Todd, come on now. I pronounce everything a couple ways just to be sure. That's extra effort. Tato. Anyway, I will try to do better at pronouncing things. And I see you down there, Jin276. Whose side are you on here, pal? Some people actually rather enjoy my bits, Todd. Here's a helpful comment. This one came on my Gremlins 2 review. The great I pointed out that my volume for my videos was all over the place, and I suspected as much. I edit with decent noise-canceling headphones, but I have noticed that watching my own videos on my phone or with speakers is a different experience entirely. So I'm working on making the music and my voice mix better and be less jarring. I'm still working on it. But thank you so much for that feedback. At the end of my Yokai Dashuki video, I said that Terusuke, the protagonist in that game, had reappeared later on in Project X Zone, but apparently I was incorrect. It was Project X Zone 2. Thanks to this commenter for pointing that out. And I don't want to give airtime to trolls, but this guy said that Time Lord was basically Dark Souls. Obviously, I disagreed with that. Then he said I was negative and lacked perspective and said I wasn't a gamer from the era. What does that mean? I'm 13 years old, Teddy. Give me a friggin' break. When my dad gets home and sees these mean comments you left me, you're really gonna get it. So anyway, thank you all so much for taking the time to watch and comment on my stuff this year. Looking to have a lot more games next year, a lot more videos, but I also want to thank a few people that have helped my channel out a lot this year. Namely Alex of SNESdrunk. Teaming up with him on the DrunkFriend podcast has been great for my channel, obviously. A lot of people that are here came from there, so thank you, Alex. I also want to thank Pam of Cannot Be Tamed. She has also publicly endorsed my channel, and I appreciate that. And also Friday Night Arcade, another great YouTube channel that has a lot of good reviews of just about anything retro. Please check out that channel. It is fantastic. And Genovi. How could you forget Genovi, listing me as one of the top creators with less than 2,000 subs at the time. And now, thankfully, I crossed that threshold. So thank you so much, Genovi, for believing in me and giving me a spot in your video. That was awesome. And of course, I have to shout out my pal, Musty Hobbit, who does the brand new Xboxer Briefs YouTube channel that does a lot of capsule reviews like I do here on NES games. He does them on the Xbox, the original Xbox. So please check that out. He helps me out a ton. And I'm sure there's been others out there that have sung my praises and shared the videos, and I really, really appreciate that. I'm looking forward to more videos in 2020 and getting to know more of you either through the comment section or through the number of podcasts I do, or however. All right, well, have a happy new year, and thanks for watching.